Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Trailer Talk. I believe our fourth ever one. I think this is also the second one that's just about the Avengers. For those living under a bridge, the Infinity War trailer 2 finally dropped today. It's only, 5 weeks before the film comes out, and they've kept it very stum. They did exactly what they did with Star Wars. They dropped a trailer, they dropped a poster, and then they put the tickets on sale for the internet to crash. And this trailer is everywhere, just like Star Wars.
Absolutely. Do you want to talk about the poster before we get into the main trailer, though? Because I mean, you've been following all the Twitter accounts, haven't you? Like Russo brothers and everything. You've been like almost counting down the day until the trailer went live today. But the poster also came out, which I think is worth talking about.
Yes, there is a poster with 24 characters on, and it's still missing some, which is even more mental. And you know what? I don't think I've ever seen a poster fit 24 people on and actually look appealing.
Yeah, no, I was going to say it's the typical sort of Photoshop, like character collage, I always call them. It's pretty much every standard movie poster now. It's a good poster. You actually made a really good point about it. It looks exactly like the Thor Ragnarok poster, like color scheme, almost like character layout and everything like that. And on this one, you've got Tony Stark in a Jesus position. So will he sacrifice himself for the good of the team? I'm sure we'll talk more about that when we get into the trailer. I think the poster's fine. It's kind of standard. It's a very pretty, it's a very colorful poster, but I don't really know what else you could have done for it. You want to show off the fact that you've got like the entire cast in, and you're showing that off on the poster. And as I said to you, I think in our group chat, Spider-Man at the bottom of the pile where he rightfully belongs.
Yeah, it's a post that I want to say is probably really hard to pull off because there's so much going on. But they do a surprisingly good job. I mean, just at a glance, you see if you're going to look the way they're doing them now. I don't know if you see it at cinemas. I don't know if America does this. You get motion posters, where every cinema says advertising posters, but a lot of them started investing in screens. I know my local one has, and it'll play like a 10-second poster. And I think Marvel did it with Ragnarok, and they're doing it again with this. It's on their Facebook page, where it starts off like Iron Man, and then layer by layer comes in, almost like how Disney used to do their animated films. I don't know if everyone's ever seen that, where they had 5 or 6 layers. The camera would follow the movement. So that's how they do it. And, it works. The most amazing thing about this poster, though, how often do you go see a film poster and you always get the sort of the big names at the top? They've had to give them 2 rows. I've never seen that before. Literally, I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, 2 rows. No Paul Rudd, no Jeremy Renner. Then you go right to the bottom, the really thin, small text. Everyone knows them. Zoom in, get a high-res image. See all the cast, the billing, the order. No Jeremy Renner, no Paul Rudd. But there is a Peter Dinklage, which it was kind of confirmed he was in it, but this is the official confirmation, I guess. Also, no Sam Jackson, but we all know he's in it because he said he was.
Yeah, well, there was a brilliant image that I saw, like going off on a little bit of a tangent here about Ant-Man. It was like a joke, sort of like meme image. It says like how to beat Thanos in 1 second, and it was a picture of Hank Pym Ant-Man shrunk right down, going into Thanos's ear, and then like flicking his brain or something from the inside, and it just like instantly kills Thanos. So maybe that explains why he's not going to be in this movie if Ant-Man had like completely break the movie. But I think that's interesting because isn't there going to be which of the two? Ant-Man and the Wasp is one of the movies coming out after this, isn't it? It's this and Captain Marvel. So this is taking place after Infinity War. So we need some explanations to where he is.
I don't think it does. I know this is the wrong chat, but I read some of the because I thought, is Ant-Man set after? Like, it looks far too happy to be set for after Infinity War. Apparently, it's going to be set after Civil War, like Captain America was.
But still before Infinity War.
Yeah, but also Captain Marvel is going to be set in the 90s. Which means that Marvel have been smart, where canonically, I don't know if that's a word yet, there is no film between Infinity War Part 1 and 2, which is very smart because it also means they get money from releasing 2 films during the gap between. But this is the crazy thing. It's Part 1. Yeah. This is Part 1. The build-up this film has had is extraordinary, and I can only think in a year's time it's going to be this, but turned up to 200.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think should we get into the trailer now? We've given it enough build up. Let's get into it. And I have no idea where we're starting. I guess, like, I mean, I've already recorded a reaction video for this. This will be coming out after, obviously, this live stream's finished. What I liked most about this trailer was the fact that, kind of what you said, this is getting you on board. This is like telling you the basic story for people that really don't know the comic or don't really know who Thanos is as of now, because they haven't really done a great job of building up to him. Like, he's appeared here and there, a little bit in Guardians of the Galaxy, a little bit in your post-credit scene for the first Avengers film. But this is like cementing him, and I think that's what they need to. That's what they need to do, because I mean, he's the main villain. They're name dropping him. You're showing more of him. You're getting the motive down of why he wants to do what he wants to do. And I liked that about it. I like that they're really pushing Thanos in this one. This is almost entirely his trailer, I would say. And you've still got a bit of the action in there, but it seems like it was more story and character focused in this trailer.
Yeah, it's giving you, for those that don't know anything about Infinity War, they don't know what the Infinity Stones are. Believe it or not everyone has seen every Marvel film. The best reminder is my parents asking me during Civil War, "Who's that?" When not Terrence Howard, when Don Cheadle came on screen, and it was like, "Well, this is the throwback to 2010." But yeah, I mean, it's so simple, but in the perfect way. You know, Gamora, obviously, she's one of Thanos' children, as is Nebula, who doesn't feature in this trailer, I don't think. But she says, you know, he wants to halve humanity, reference to the comics where he clicks his fingers. Even better than that, the most absurd plot point in comic book history is outright just said in the trailer. If he gets all the stones, he is powerful enough to click his fingers and wipe out half the universe. The thing I like most about this is that actually it's Tony Stark listening to it on the other end.
Yeah.
This is like the first, Tony Stark's really like Guardians. Like, what hit me in this trailer was the merging of the worlds. Like, when you looked at trailer 1, the only merge was like the Guardians smiling at the end when they met Thor. Mm-hmm. But in this, like, everyone's meeting each other, and it was really cool. I know that's an overview for the trailer, but knowing that we're getting this on screen like a month, like, everyone's always wanted to see, you know, Chris Pratt with Robert Downey Jr., chucking Rocket as well, and that stuff people want to see for years, and we knew we were going to get it. But just getting it glimpses in the trailer, it just builds up the hype so much more. But it also, like what you said as well, it's building up Thanos, because we haven't seen much of him. The most character depth he's had is Nebula's backstory in Guardians 2, which I thought was probably one of the best scenes of the film.
Yeah. And actually, going on from that, I was going through the trailer a little bit, sort of like clicking each frame. And it looks like we are going to get some actual on-screen backstory of Thanos. There's a scene where it's my favorite shot in the trailer where he's decked out in his full armor, which I hope we really get in Infinity War Part 2. And it looks like that's where he sacks the village. He destroyed the entire village, didn't he, or something, of Gamora, and then took her away.
Yeah,
it was his daughter, and you see that shot where he walks up to the little child Gamora and like in her village and like takes her away. So it looks like we are going to go back to that origin story. Whether that's going to be an origin story told by Gamora, or whether it's going to be in some kind of prologue, or maybe Thanos is going to talk about it. Either way, we're actually getting that on screen right now, and I think it's good to get like all the development for Thanos done in this movie, get it out of the way. Then when you get to Part 2, you can just focus on the nitty-gritty of the story, really.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing people wanted. The Russo brothers have said, you know, you're going to learn a lot about Thanos. And you think, oh, they're just saying that because they've got to say it. But actually, this trailer's already given us a hint at a backstory, not just between him, but between one of the main Guardians. And immediately, it's not making me more excited, because that's the wrong word, but it's making him more credible as a villain, that we have this character who now we can start to learn a bit more about, that he's not just a two-dimensional CGI motion capture villain. Yeah. We've had the problem with Marvel has always been their villains until Killmonger. To me, the only great villains have been obviously everyone always says Loki. I thought Baron Zemo was actually outstanding. And Thanos is the one that, if you're going to build up to a guy from one after credit scene in the Avengers in 2012, that was what, 6 years ago now? Yeah. You know, you need someone that's gonna, okay, so why is this happening 6 years later? Then that really is gonna be its own thing, and that needs to get you from the ground up. In Infinity War Part 1, you need to know everything you can about Thanos to build up. It's like Harry Potter, right? Deathly Hallows Part 1. You know everything about Voldemort. You've got hinted at stuff over the books. Well, not over the books, but over the previous films. But Half-Blood Prince is the one where you learn his backstory, and the film does a shoddy job of adapting that because there's so much that happens elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
With Thanos, okay, they can't do a prologue film like Harry Potter 6, but if you can learn enough about his backstory, that will change the concepts and the view of him for either his scenes later on in the film or his scenes in the following film. But I am very, very, very interested to see what the plan is. And I mean, I know bits about it from the comics, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I'm an expert. I know all about the Infinity Stones. I've read the famous comic book arc, nothing else, in which all it was him trying to make a woman fall in love with him, which was silly. No sign of that in this, which makes me a lot more excited too.
See, it is a dumb concept. I will agree, the whole death thing. And I don't know loads about it. I've never read any of the comic books. I know like a rough little bit about the character, and that Thanos' character is in love with the embodiment of death. And I think that's why he's doing everything that he does for her. Like, he wants to cause all the destruction and death to almost like pay homage to her. I think that's what it is in the comic book, but I might be wrong about that. So if you do take that away, you are kind of removing all motivation. Like, he is now just, unless they give us another motivation in the movie, which they absolutely could do, as of right now, he's just like a giant purple guy who wants ultimate power, wants to destroy half the universe, and there's no real reason as to why he's doing that. Maybe they will put the death stuff in this film. Who knows? Like, they mentioned it, and that was probably more of an Easter egg, though, now in hindsight. In the post-credit scene of Avengers 1, he talks about to court death or something like that. And that's really your only mention of it there. So, I mean, I'd like them to put it in, like, just to sort of, like, honor the comic books, but I'm not going to, like, lose sleep at night if they don't put it in there, because as symbolism go, like, the whole thing of, like, causing death to pay, you know, falling in love with death to court death, the symbolism is, like, hitting you over the head with a sledgehammer almost in that regard. But, no, I'm loving all the Thanos stuff so far, and the fact that they are giving him that backstory. My biggest concern, though, about this entire film in general, but it's kind of allayed my fears on the film now, was just juggling the amount of characters they've got. It's an absolutely huge ensemble cast. You've also got to set up Thanos. It's going to be probably like a 2.5-hour movie. That's usually like the high-end running time of a Marvel movie. And you've got to do so much. You've got to set everything up. You've got to like meet characters again. You've got to reestablish where they are to do everything. But it looks like they're going to divide the cast into, what I can see from the trailer, into like 3 different sections. So you've got the whole Wakanda stuff going on, where you've got Cap, Black Widow, Hulk, and everything. You've got your city-based ones, which is going to be like Spider-Man and Iron Man and probably a few others. And then it looks like they're grouping the cosmic ones as well, with Doctor Strange, Thor, and the Guardians. So you're going to have these 3 parallel timelines running side by side, which are going to probably like combine towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's the smartest way of doing it. Not spoilers, but in the new Lego sets, there's an attack on Sanctorum Strange. Doctor Strange's house, basically.
Yes, yeah.
So it is grouping people together. New York, you're going to have Doctor Strange for a bit, Iron Man, Spider-Man. I'm assuming you'd put War Machine in because he's with Iron Man. Everyone's going to be attached to their buddies. You've got Bucky with Cap. You've got Okoye and I can't remember his sister's name with T'Challa. Mm-hmm. You've got the Guardians of Vision clearly there with Scarlet Witch. Benedict Wong is with the other Benedicts. So they're almost together, but there's no Ant-Man yet or Hawkeye. But I think that's the smartest way of doing it, because you can merge people who haven't met immediately, and then they will clearly meet each other and do more as the film progresses. Then it opens them up to do this whole big finale for part 1, where they all get battered and a couple of them die. I mean, we literally see Thanos dragging Thor with his head, like using his hand on his head like a clamp. That's the kind of thing that we've been building up to. We always criticize Marvel for not killing people. Even War Machine survived Civil War. I know he's sort of paralyzed now, but he's probably one of the first to die. I won't lie. This is their chance to say, okay, we've built up to this guy. We've specifically not killed people all because it's here. There's some really obvious people that we know are going to die.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in this film, but across the 2 films. Anyone that's got a story with Thanos is probably going to die. Iron Man, Captain America as well, probably Thor. The contracts are up. Sorry, I took it that way. Spoilers. But it's just exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's what we could
It's
talk about, actually. Like, there's a lot of people in the chat talking about whether they think that both Tony and Captain America are going to die, or whether it's just going to be one.
right. Can I go with my instant prediction?
Go
and
on.
I've said this once. Right. Originally, I thought, okay, one of them will die at the end of part 1, the other will die at the end of part 2. My original idea was that Iron Man will sacrifice himself to die in part 1, and then Cap will die in part 2. Now I've kept it, but changed it. I want Iron Man to die at the end of part 1, and I want it to be brutal in the sense that he's not sacrificing himself for the team, but he just outright loses to Thanos and dies. That is your humongous end of part 1. And then Cap is... Because if anyone's going to sacrifice himself, it would be Captain America. It has to be Captain America. I don't want 2 people to sacrifice themselves across 2 films. If Iron Man had a... Like, I'm talking Han Solo, Kylo Ren. You knew he was going to go out, but you didn't expect it, to be by his son. Spoilers. Whereas, the way Luke goes, spoilers again, it's within his character, and it would be within Captain America's arc to go in the second one to save humanity and whatnot. Yeah. And for Iron Man to fail his mission, I think would be such a big twist. But it makes me, I know this sounds nice, but it makes me excited to see how people are going to die, because we know it's going to happen in this. I mean, you think of the end of Rogue One, you assumed a couple of them would die, but never all of them. And it's when you get this is almost like the Marvel slasher film where it's been building up to this, and for Thanos to get to the level he's going to get to, he needs to be killing them. Even in this trailer, probably my favorite moment of the trailer, one of my favorite ever moments from a Marvel trailer at all I've ever seen, is him punching in Captain America, struggling to hold it. I mean, the strength of him, we've seen him rip Roberts in half, but to be holding the fist is something special. But then it also makes you think, okay, is Cap gonna die? Yeah, it's such this magical intrigue. Age of Ultron, you knew no one was going to die. Avengers 1, you knew no one was going to die. This is really the build-up now, the finale.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they hit you with both of those ambiguous moments, at the end of the trailer, like Tony Stark, and then you think, right, he's gone, and then they hit you with that Captain America moment. It's like, oh, actually, no, he could go. I agree with you. I think that Tony's going in this movie. I don't think they'll kill Cap. I think he'll sort of be like the last sort of like guiding light almost into part 2 of like hope and everything, and then he'll get beaten down in that one. But the mantle will be then passed to Bucky, and then that sets you up for your next load of phases right there, and sort of like continuing that theme on through the Shield. I mean, I don't know how much we can read into the poster and stuff, but as I said, it's like Tony Stark at the top, everyone else underneath, and he's in that sort of like Jesus pose, like that protective pose over everyone and everything like that. So I can see him being killed. And also, like, I mean, his was the first film 10 years ago. Iron Man, that was the first film that started this whole cinematic universe off. So to kill him in Infinity War, I think would say a lot in that regard. And also, like, if you look at the first Avengers film at the end, where they tease that, he's not going to, because you saw the trailer, but there was that moment where you thought that Iron Man could die with the whole nuclear bomb thing. They could like retread that in this, like, tempt. And then as if you've watched all the movies, you could go, well, they're not going to kill Iron Man off because we've seen him survive all this, but he's not coming back this time. They actually do kill him. And I think that will be a good statement to end the movie on, and it will set the stakes for the next one for part 2. We actually had Dave in the comments say that it's not 2 movies anymore. Because originally when it was built, it was Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2. I still think it's going to be the same story, like the same continuing story, but
I think what's going to happen is that it's not as much a Part 1 and 2 as Deathly Hallows. I feel that this is Part 1's Infinity War, Part 2 is going to be called Infinity Gauntlet, and they'll probably reveal the name of the new Avengers film. Not in a credit scene, but if anyone's seen the end of it was billed as It. And then when the credits roll, even before that, it just says It Chapter 1, like finale. So you know that the second one's coming, It Chapter 2. With this, I would love for them to just put, no credit scene at all, make it doom and gloom, and then just do, Avengers Infinity Gauntlet, May 2019. God, that makes me feel old. I can actually remember, this has been on my mind loads recently. One of my very, very, very first Instagram posts is all the way back to 2013, right? And it's amazing because it's me. Well, it's not actually a picture of me, but it's the day I bought the Infinity Gauntlet book. And I think I called it some light research for, here we go. If anyone's watching on the screen now, bit of light reading before Avengers 3, hashtag 2018. Legit evidence. It's scary that that's like round the corner. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, when Marvel announced Phase 3, they didn't do San Diego. They literally said, we're going to have a day and we're going to unveil an entire slate. And I remember when everything popped up on the screen, they've all come out now. And then it was like, oh, there's Inhumans. Well, we can forget about that. That went to TV, then that died. It's like amazing that, okay, we know we're getting Guardians 3, we know we're getting Spider-Man Homecoming 2, we know we're going to get Black Panther 2, but the fact there's been no official announcement, we've got release dates of untitled films, we kind of know what we're going to get. I can just picture Marvel keeping stum, and then in 2019 next year, just drop them all at once again, say this is going to be Phase 4, and then, because let's be honest, everyone's contracts are running out. There are people that have been doing this for 10 years, that have done so many appearances. They clearly love it, but they know, time's up.
Yeah.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is the biggest one of that. He is Iron Man. He's basically, to me, not created this, but he is responsible for this becoming a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he'll be in Phase 4. Phase 4. I also don't think Thor will be in Phase 4. I think we'll be waving goodbye to people, setting up a couple new origin films, a couple new sequels. Like everyone seems to get 3 films and then round out with that. I think they'll continue that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a weird comparison, but I compared it to like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TV series where everyone has their Power Rangers, sort of like their incarnation of whatever happens to be. And I think it's going to be the same with this one. Like we've grew up with this thing since the start, since 2008. Our Avengers are always going to be, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, etc. But it's been 10 years now. I mean, after all this is said and done, it will be over 10 years. It will be time to move on to something new. I think they'll still harken back to the universe they've set up with this one, but I think pretty much once we get past the Infinity War stuff, you are going to be entering new territory with the characters. I think we've both talked about it, that Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and now Black Panther will be your main 3. And then you're going to have like everyone else. You're going to have like Bucky there as the new sort of Captain America. You're going to have a new few additions along the way. And I mean, I don't want to talk too much about like the whole 20th Century Fox thing, but they have those now. Many, many opportunities down the road. We might get the Fantastic Four in there now, hopefully done right this time. We might get Doctor Doom. Galactus might be the next big bad guy. Like, how do you get bigger than Thanos? You go much bigger, you go Galactus. So, the X-Men now as well. Like, Disney are fine for like the next 20, 30 years. Like, they've got enough stuff to work with now with the Marvel Universe.
And as depressing as it is, I think what gets me not excited, but when you think of James Bond, you kind of think, okay, back in the 60s, obviously we weren't around. I guess back then the thought of who else could play James Bond other than Sean Connery, that was a question which always seemed to linger over Robert Downey Jr. Like, would they ever recast Iron Man as someone else and just, have the mantle? But I think Marvel have built themselves up into a position now where they won't ever need to recast someone. Okay, unless they walk out like Ed Norton and a couple of people that have gone AWOL. Marvel are now in a position of power that they can just make new characters who wouldn't have been able to come to the cinema 20 years ago, but they can chuck them in now. I mean, Black Panther, that's a character that if you'd have said 5 years ago, there's a Black Panther film coming out, even Guardians of the Galaxy is a film about a tree, that still made 700, 800 mil. These concepts didn't exist until Marvel became marketing with themselves. They're a label to print money from. And I think they're in a safe position now where if they want to kill off an Avenger, they can. They don't have to recast him. They can just simply have another character. Like a couple of years ago, if you said the face of the Avengers will eventually be Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Black Panther, you'd have probably laughed. But now you're in a position where it's like, okay, that's actually really safe and it will work for them because they're established now. Each of them's had their own individual films, not just box office, but in terms of critics and I guess fan perception. Not almost all the fans for Spider-Man though, where they've made enough to take a command, and I feel that they will cement that in Phase 4, and they will introduce some new people, of course, like every other phase. Ant-Man 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're getting to pretty much the end of like what we can talk about. The last thing that I noticed in the trailer that I guess we could talk about is I wanted to call them the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but I guess they are serving that role almost. The Children of Thanos, I think you said they were called, right? They look like they're going to be his four henchmen. I don't really know what he's going to do, but we see sort of like a pivotal scene, two pivotal scenes you could say in the trailer. One is where Doctor Strange is being tortured by one of them. We get a close-up shot of one of them, and then the other is the frame that I'm looking at in the trailer now, is Loki standing front and center amongst all of them. So you're of the belief that Loki is going to get killed pretty much at the beginning of this movie. You think he's going to be the first death of the movie, sort of wipe that slate clean of what people consider to be the best Marvel villain right from the off to establish the new one. I think he's going to go for a power play. I think he's going to be sort of like the sniveling little lackey, and he's going to try and be part of Thanos, and then he might die later in the film. I don't think he's going to die immediately. I think he's going to hang out with these guys for a bit and sort of serve Thanos because, you know, he doesn't want to die. He'll wait in the shadows. He'll try and wait for his opportunity, and he might try and take that opportunity, and then Thanos is going to show him who's boss.
Sheila has corrected us. She thinks they called the Black Order, the Children of Thanos. I think that's also true. There may be many names for them to be done, but they were famously the four things unveiled at not Star Wars Celebration. They were the four things unveiled at Comic-Con, which these idiots believed to be the Fantastic Four, which was hilarious, and it was never the case. It's probably true. I'm assuming they are. Here we go, reading online now. Yeah, they're going to be calling the group the Children of Thanos and altering their ability to run the comics, but they are the original Black Order. I think with Children of Thanos as well, Gamora and Nebula both technically count. He made the point that, you know, he'd take over, then he'd adopt you, basically turn you into a killing machine, and if you're not the killing machine, then you are basically toast. So it'd be very interesting. Going back to Loki, I think the reason he's going to die is because he can add nothing to the story. He said he's going to do a power play. How many times have we had to see Loki do a power play in, you know, Thor 1, Avengers, Thor 2, Thor 3? It's old, it's boring. It makes him devalue as not just a villain, but as a character. And I think I could imagine him sniveling, but I think it would immediately undermine Thanos if Loki's got one over him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to execute him there, and then he lost him. I mean, not only did he lose the Tesseract, he also lost him the Vision's head, basically, with the Yellowstone, because that was in the Scepter all along. So I think Loki will. I don't know if he'll go first. Technically, the Asgardians will go first, and Heimdall, because Idris Elba is credited. But I think Loki's your first real big character to die, and it's like a passing of the torch to the villains.
Well, speaking of the Tesseract, there was a shot in the previous trailer that came out with Loki holding the Tesseract. Well, we see that Thanos gets a hold of that at some point in this film and breaks it. I don't know if that's where he's going to like...
probably the same scene.
The stone's going to be in the center of it. Yes, so it could be the same scene. So you might be right there. I definitely think that Loki's going in this movie, but I just don't think it'll be right from the off. I think we're going to get a little bit of him. I don't think he's going to go down without a fight. He's going to try and worm his way out of it. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think we've covered most of the major plot points in it. I don't think we're going to give Tom Holland any satisfaction of talking about Spider-Man at any point in this trailer. It is what it is.
He looks about 10 years old with his new haircut.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like Kid Parker anymore. Then again, there was that very weird... Was Spider-Man Homecoming set 8 years after Civil War, did it say?
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah.
So, you know... 8 years after Civil War, or it was very, very bizarre. Probably the worst.
If that means that we can take Homecoming out of the MCU to preserve the continuity between the films, then I'm fine with doing that.
We can recast Vulture as
John
what's his
Malkovich.
name? Yes, and we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, search Spider-Man 4.
Oh,
Brinsley's even commented, "Oh wait, Peter Parker looks weird in this trailer." He definitely does. Also, I mean, I know in the comics the Iron Spider suit's famous. The Iron Spider suit's more famous in Civil War than it is in Infinity War, or Infinity War, sorry. But it just, the issue we had, I mean, I guess for people who haven't seen this, oh no, he just likes Tom Holland, drop them dislike immediately. In our review, and we both hold this opinion today, that I loved him in Civil War. And everything about Homecoming felt wrong. It wasn't a Spider-Man film. It wasn't even like an Avengers 2.5. It was like the Avengers like 2.9, no, 3.1.
Yeah.
Where it was like the whole concept of, okay, the solo Spider-Man film in the MCU, I'm so down to see that. I was very excited until that second trailer dropped, but it told you the entire film. The entire film was, I just want to be an Avenger. Iron Man, please accept me. I hated that because there was so much potential they could have done, but they had to do it. Okay, this is the MCU. Let's remind them that we're in the MCU about 100 times a minute, and that's the biggest gripe out of the film, because there was nothing at stake, even less than there are in other Marvel films. And it was just a real disappointment. It's probably the worst, well, I would call it the worst MCU film. At least Thor 2 has an input into something. That's as much as I can remember to say about Thor 2. But Tom Holland, I think this is make or break for me. I liked him in Civil War. It was basically a glorified cameo. Didn't like Spider-Man Homecoming, so this is really his chance. But I am interested to see how the Cumberbatch gets on with everyone. One thing I also want to say, going back to the posters, it's been in my head for a day now. I've never seen Benedict Cumberbatch so small on a poster. I mean, this is the definition of star power. You have Benedict Cumberbatch, and he is in the corner of a poster at the top right. If that doesn't speak volumes about what the size of this film is, it is insane. But that's another thing I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, I'm completely out of everything to say. So do you want to, I mean, we've had a lot of people like commenting throughout the video, so I guess if anyone's got any questions, we could round off on a couple of questions to finish off.
Do we have questions? Dave, Thor 2 is great watching Portman phone it in. Speaking of Natalie Portman, shout out to our Annihilation review, and for anyone to go and support the independent film, although it was very, very weird. Should you ask, did you see what shirt Spider-Man was wearing? I need it in my life. I don't want to know what he's wearing. Also, are we going to get like the third Avengers film where Iron Man just wears a top that instantly becomes like one of the like most fashionable tops of the year?
Yeah.
Like,
so
do you remember Black Sabbath?
Yeah.
And then it was Bruce Lee on the DJ set for an Age of Ultron, which everyone started buying?
I think so. It's just every shirt that he seemed to be wearing, like our local sort of like HMV would have as their like #1 selling shirt. And I just see it all the time.
I mean, he probably it's not even in the costume. He probably just turns up to set like just wearing that top. Like, you know what, I'm just going to wear this today. I think that's everything else I can say. One thing I will say is that given we're on the Avengers talk, I've mentioned many times recently, we're putting together an idea for a show. We don't have an official title yet, but it's going to be along the lines of like 18 Days of Marvel, where every single day for 18 days, a video will be uploaded. And it's going to be each Marvel Cinematic Universe film in order, beginning with Iron Man, ending with Black Panther, and of course then Infinity War comes out with Infinity War. Isn't it weird, the progress of this channel, where I began calling Infinity War Civil War for a good 6 months? And now I'm so on Infinity War, when it's Infinity Gauntlet, I'm not going to be able to get it right, but it's the constant evolution. So yes, stick with us for the Marvel stuff. We've got a lot coming over the next 6 weeks, I think it's called. Brinsley has a comment. Who do you want introduced in Phase 4?
I've kind of already said, like, in the Fantastic Four, I think need to see some justice done to them, because the last outing of that film, Fant Four Stick, was diabolical. So I'd like to see a Fantastic Four done right. I'd like to see Doctor Doom, and sort of not a new character necessarily, but I would love at some point for the Netflix Marvel stuff to somehow make it into the movies. Like, I would love to see a big budget Daredevil movie with, you know, the actor, I forgot the name of the actor who plays him in the Netflix series. It's Charlie Cox, I think it is.
Yeah, I read with him, he's under a contract where if he was to be called into a film, he'd have to appear. He's got one of the mad contracts, but he's the only one of the Defenders cast that will do that. Phase 4. I don't really know. I mean, I'm still getting to grips with Phase 3. Like, we've had Black Panther introduced, Captain Marvel, kind of Ant-Man. Like, let's be honest, it was like the dessert of Phase 2, the Ant-Man film. If I want anyone introduced in Phase 4, it would be, you said it straight away, Fantastic Four is a given. Doctor Doom, I really want to see him properly.
Silver Surfer, I guess, as well, like all the side Fantastic Four characters.
You know that Silver Surfer would be like the first Phase 4 credit scene. Like, this is Galactus on his way.
Hopefully not like a giant cloud in space this time.
A fart cloud. I don't really know what else I want. I want something like not new, because it's all the ones that you thought were risky like 10 years ago have now all been done. Like I always wanted to see Doctor Strange. I remember as a kid having these like Top Trumps Marvel cards, and Doctor Strange was in it, and for some reason I liked the character and I learned a little bit about him. I was very happy they made that into a film that I actually enjoyed, and they had the perfect casting for him. I don't really know who else I want to see. There's just so many people. There's
So
like
pretty much done every like the main ones that I can think of. X-Men's a weird one. Like X-Men's still very fresh in my mind, to the point where we're still gonna get like regular, normal X-Men movies not made by Disney. So I guess I'd like to see a rebooted X-Men, but to me, like the X-Men have already been trodden since 2000, so I've had enough of that. I'd like to see some new ones or new reimaginings of characters, I guess I should say.
we're going to get Adam Warlock. That was the big one missing. Yeah. He's clearly going to be in Guardians 3, missing the chance to stick him in Infinity War, but I don't think his comic character arc would suit what they've done with the films. He wouldn't have earned whatever the ending's going to be.
Yeah.
I genuinely wouldn't know about Phase 4, because they're going to keep surprising us, I think, with more things. And they might use that de-aging tech to bring in some old names too.
Definitely. The last thing I'll say, Brinsley's put, did you hear about that 31-hour Marvel marathon? No, but the Prince Charles Cinema in London that does kind of marathons and things like that, I bet they're already on it. Because they did a Game of Thrones marathon, which was all 7 seasons, non-stop for like 4 days. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did that at some point. But you won't be seeing me there. I'm not going to do a marathon of these movies. I'm going to leave the marathon to you, George, for your 18 days of Marvel. So
I'm just happy I've put them across 18 days and that I know almost all of them off by heart.
Yeah.
I am going to have to take a rewatch on certain films, putting it lightly. But no, the no Marvel marathon, not this. I think for the first Avengers film, I did a marathon. For definitely Hallows Part 2, I did a marathon. Not in a row, but like one a day. And obviously the crown goes to episode 7, where I did all 6 Stars films in one sitting, kind of sitting, with a shower in the middle and like, some real life things you have to do. I don't think anyone could sit through the 31 hours. You're lying to yourself if you can sit through a 31-hour Marvel marathon. You have to physically go to sleep. You will die by the time you get to Infinity War. That's not a good thing to have on your gravestone. Died. He got to Spider-Man Homecoming and the rest is history. But no, I think that kind of rounds out our trailer talk for today. You've got your reaction, which will be up on our channel, your very first thoughts.
I'll be editing that right now, so expect to see that up. I'm going to try and get it up tonight if I can. At the very latest, it'll be first thing tomorrow morning. But yeah, I mean, I've talked more about it in depth on this one, but obviously look out for that if you want to hear more talk on Avengers and Marvel stuff.
Definitely.
I guess that's everything then. So big thank you to everyone that's joined us in the comments tonight, pitched us questions, everything like that. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of this trailer, and get more comments going in there. And if you like your Marvel stuff, if you like your comic book hero stuff, as we said, we've got the 18 days of Marvel stuff coming, and obviously leading to our review on Infinity War itself. We're probably going to get another trailer for this thing along the way before it comes out, maybe. So
and a Battle of the Brackets.
And a Battle of the Brackets. So there's a lot more comic book stuff coming out from the channel, as well as a bunch of other movie reviews and everything like that. This weekend's review will be Tomb Raider, which I'm not going to lie, I'm not looking forward to, but we'll have more stuff for movies. If you're a movie fan, hit the subscribe button, share, spread the word, all that good stuff. And until the next video, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.